Jesus arrived not only to test the humanity of the world, but to cease the tyranny of the evil tyrants and their methods which they were inflicting upon the world. And so, it should also be known that as a part of the restoration, Jesus sought to restore also to the world the practical logic and wisdom of the words of the books which God had set forth to guide and direct the world, which also included what things, ways, and devices to avoid, as well as specific instructions as to the mechanisms of the reoccurring events which few at that time remembered or even knew of. And so, it is perhaps best if I begin with the lessons of the logic as presented in the parable of the wine and the water, where this parable is never seen as a parable, but rather as a mere passage of a miracle, which in and of itself was set forth to appeal to the logic of thinking people, which alludes to the cause and effect of the time of his last manifestation. You see, Jesus chose to be a Nazarite among the Nazarenes because, as such, he was subject to specific oaths which coincided with his nature and wisdom. Among these oaths of the Nazarite were to neither partake of nor offer the drink of the vine nor fermentation. In addition, they did not cut their hair, which is why Jesus is always portrayed with long hair and a beard. And so it should also be known that this is why Jesus did not turn the water into wine, but rather this specific parable presents to us many other things. You see, when Rome seized a territory, they also seized its resources, among which, most importantly, were land and water. They seized these specifically to manufacture their greatest trade commodity, which was none other than grapes for the harvesting of wine. Now this served Rome well in more than one way, as outside of this being their number one trade commodity which funded their military-industrial complex, with a little propaganda, they could easily convince the people that the wells and waterways which they had always drank from were poison. With this, Rome then simply offered the wine in place of the water, giving it heavy taxations, while simultaneously and ingeniously preventing formidable rebellions, as a drunken people and a poisoned people were a people incapable of organizing in large enough groups to pose any kind of real threat to Rome's legions, its power, or authority. And so it was that when Jesus arrived, he showed the people not how to turn the water into wine, but rather how to turn the wine into water, or in other words, how to purify the water. And so, not only this, but Jesus challenged the authority of the corrupt Pharisees and Sadducees who were placed into power with certain anonymities by the Roman authority. These individuals who altered the interpretations of the words of the book and the books to the favor of the Roman will. And so you see, Jesus threatened the very root and heart of the Roman Empire, its trade, its treasuries, its legions, and most definitely, its rule. And this is why they so desperately sought to destroy anyone they needed to get to him. But destroy them or him, they could not. For Jesus was God manifest on earth, sent forth to restore the world and save it from the vices of evil's tyrannies, afflictions, and injustices. And so it was that by following the rule of his own command to not impose upon the free will of the world, whose will had been stolen, and he himself restored, Jesus did lay down his life for the lives of the many, whom he had spared from the spear and torture of the tyrannical Roman blade, wielded by the hands of the infiltrated empire, by the lines of Darius Xerxes, where with his last human breath he did speak unto himself, asking forgiveness for those who, being poisoned of the body and mind, did not know what they had done, until the Lord of the heavens opened up, and upon that opening he did spake, and the moment of the earth did shake, and the waters arose, sparing only those who did listen to his warnings of the times approaching. And so, as in the days of his last manifestation are the parallels of today, where once again the bodies, minds, and souls of the many are at risk, now finding themselves in need of restoration, unknowing of what they have done, even in the face of the slaughter of innocent millions of lives. And so they are now awaiting the moment in which the shepherd steps forth from the clouds, to say, Behold, Emmanuel.